Welcome to the Jamesburg Presbyterian Church. Today is Wednesday, March the 23rd, 2021. Good to know that so many people are tuning in to this study on the book of Tobit. Today we're going to be taking a look at chapters 4, 5, and 6. Tobit, but to catch us up to where we have been, where we left off, in the first installment we met Tobit and his wife Anna and his son Tobiah. We know that Tobit is a righteous man, a good man. He has been doing charitable work, trying to teach his son to do the same. In that installment, Tobit becomes blind, and he has an argument with his wife over some trivial matter. Goes outside, offers prayer to God, and the conclusion of the prayer is a request for God to kill him. Last week we met another character. Her name is Sarah. Her father's name is Raguel. Her mother's name is Edna. Sarah has a unique problem. She is now a widow 7 times. Every time she marries and they go to the bridal chamber, a demon appears and kills her groom. So Raguel has had to bury 7 son-in-laws. So she also offers a prayer, and in that prayer she gives God 2 options. 1, to just show mercy on her, whatever that may mean, and then 2, to kill her off. So both characters are looking to die. Sarah does realize that she can't commit suicide because it'll make her father look bad, but it did occur to her. So today we're picking up with what are the characters going to do? Where is this story going? Is there any hope for any of the characters? Chapter 4 begins with a recollection. Tobit remembers that he has money that he has put into the hands of another character who lives in Rages in Media. R-A-G-E-S is the name of the city in Media. Apparently this is some distance away. It's a large sum of money, and it would be a solution for Tobit as he is now blind and unable to provide for his family. So he decides that what he'll do is get his son, Tobiah, to go to Rages and pick up the money. This money has been left with a relative. His name is Gabael. So in chapter 4, as in most romantic stories, also in some of the biblical stories in the Old Testament, there is a last address. And this is what that address is in chapter 4. Tobit is waiting for death to come upon him. He has asked God for death. He believes that it's going to come. So what he does is he offers up his last will for Tobiah. So he tells him the first thing he says is that I want you to give me a proper funeral. And when your mother's time comes, I want you to give her a proper funeral. He then goes on to talk about a number of things that are found in the Old Testament, especially the first 5 books of the Bible, characteristics that perhaps we all should possess. He's asking Tobiah to do these things so that Tobiah lives a righteous life. One moment. Okay, sorry about that. Sometimes people call in, and what that does is it cancels my video. Sorry about that. Sometimes people call in or do messenger to me, and it cancels my video. All right, so here are some of the things that Tobit tells Tobiah to do. He says, perform good works and do not walk in the way of wrongdoing. Second, he says he wants Tobiah to give to those who are in need, give alms to the poor. What he wants, he says, even if you are poor, give something to others. Make sure that you're taking care of the people around you. If someone is hungry, give them food. If someone needs clothing, Give them clothing. Give them from what you have. That's an important thing. And part of one of the themes of this book is the importance of charity, doing things for other people. In this book, he also says that it's important to marry a woman in the lineage of your forefathers. There's actually a name for this, and the name is endogamy, Endogamy, and it means that you marry within your kin's group. So let's say that you are Scottish. It means that you would marry within the Scottish family. If you were Jewish, you would marry within Judaism. One of the concerns that the book of Exodus has is that people from Israel would marry the Canaanite women or the Canaanite men, and then there would be a blending, a syncretism of religion and world philosophies. The idea is to try to stay within a particular group so that you are of like mind. So this is one of the things he instructs his son to do. He also says that if you hire a person, do not go to bed that night without paying that person for the work that they have done. Every day you should settle up. He also says, do not drink until you are drunk. And he also says, don't hang out with stupid people. Seek the counsel of wise people. Seek the counsel of people who are smarter than you. All of these things are good advice. Of course, he doesn't actually say don't hang out with stupid people. He does it in the positive way. That's my wording. But it's, you know what I mean, it's still good advice. Seek the counsel of wise people. When you don't know the answer to a question, find somebody who does know the answer to that question. So this is the farewell discourse. And as I said, he absolutely believes that he is going to die, that death is waiting around the corner for him. So he does this farewell address. The advice that he gives Tobiah is good advice. It's good advice for any time and any place. The whole business about helping others, the whole business about seeking wise counsel, the whole business about caring for your parents in their older years. These are all things that all of us should be doing, in fact. Almsgiving is a theme, a major theme in this particular book, and so is family. Tobit puts an emphasis on the importance of family, of marriage, of taking care of loving the people that you're with, and this is also one of the primary themes of the book, the importance of family. So he ends his discourse with the absolute idea that he is going to die very soon. One of the commentators said that perhaps all of what Tobit says can be summed by these words: what you hate, do not do to anyone else. That's pretty good advice too. So Tobit is asking Tobiah to live a kind of disciplined life. As we get out of chapter 4 and launch into the next chapter, Tobiah has some questions. And first he says, all these things that you've told me to do, I will do. But here are some questions that I have. Number one, I go to Rages. I ask for the money. First of all, I don't even know who I'm going to. But let's say that I do find that person. How will that person know that I'm the one who is authorized to pick up that money from him? How will that happen? What do I do? What do I say? How do I prove that I am who I am? Second, where in the world is Rages? I have no clue where Rages is. I don't know where that place is. So how in the world am I going to get there? So Tobit gives two answers to these two questions. He says, first of all, when I deposited the money with my relative, I drew up papers. There are 2 copies of that paper. And my signature is on both of them, and so is Gabriel's. So I have here my copy of the paper, and he has, with the money, his copy of the paper. So all you need to do is present this paper. If the signatures match, then he will know that you are the authorized person. He said, now, in terms of the other question, how in the world do you get to Rages? Perhaps what we should do is find somebody who knows the way to that city, and we will hire that person, pay that person to lead you safely to and fro. So Tobiah goes down to the city gate, and the idea is he will find somebody that he can trust, somebody that seems they know the way to the city, somebody that will help him. And he almost runs into, just bumps into a person. And this person is named Raphael. Now, I haven't told you much about Raphael yet, but I will. Tobiah says to him, "Who are you?" And Raphael says, "Well, I'm an Israelite. I'm one of your kinsmen, and I have come here to work." And Tobiah says, "Do you know the way to Media?" He says, "Do I know the way to Media? I've been there so many times I could walk there in my sleep. I know every road that goes there. I know all the shortcuts. I know all the long ways. I absolutely know how to get to Rages. I know how to do this." And he says, it's a good 2 days travel from Ecbatana. He says, we could stop there. He says, I know some people there that will put us up. He says, it will be okay. So Tobiah says, well, wait here. I have to discuss this with my father. He goes back and tells Tobit that he has met a young man by the name of, he doesn't know the name yet. He has met a kinsman. So Tobit says, I would like to meet him too. So Tobiah brings the man to Tobit, and Tobit says to him, do you know the way to Media? And he says, I do. And he says, would you be willing to escort my son to Media and back? He says, I would. And he says, it's really bad. I'm blind. There's no joy left for me. And I'm as good as dead. I'm living in darkness. And Raphael, who has not told Tobiah or Tobit his name yet, Raphael says, God's healing is near. Now, here's the irony. The name Raphael means God heals. So there's kind of an irony here. God's going to heal Tobit through Raphael. So when Raphael says God's healing is near, it literally is, because Raphael is standing in his presence. But there's another side to this too, and that is that God is going to heal Tobit of his blindness, and he's going to do it through Raphael. So there's kind of an ironic saying that he says, so they make an agreement about how much money it will cost. And then Tobit says, oh, and by the way, what is your name? And Raphael says, I am Azariah, son of Hananiah, the elder one of your own kinsmen. And Tobit says, oh my goodness, I knew him. And therefore, you are just the right person to lead my son. So they make an agreement about when to leave. They make an agreement on paying the normal wages plus expenses, plus a bonus when everything is, Tobiah comes back safely. And Raphael says, I will go with him, have no fear. In good health we shall leave you, and in good health we shall return to you, for the way is safe. Tobit offers a prayer, a blessing upon them, and they get ready to leave. Now what happens is Sarah or Anna says to Tobit, what are you doing? Do you love money so much that you're willing to trust our son with a perfect stranger? You're willing to send him out on this dangerous mission to retrieve money and bring all this money back. That's not exactly safe either. And she is just inconsolable. And Tobit says to her, do not worry about them. They will be fine, for a good angel will go with them. Well, Tobit doesn't know that Raphael is that good angel. One moment. Okay, twice. It's one of those days I can see. Tobit, so I've told you that all of that has happened in chapter 5. In chapter 6, they are on their journey, and they come to a place, they've traveled all day, they've come to a place where they're going to now stop, and they're going to try to get some rest. And Tobiah goes down to the river. They're near the Tigris River, and Tobiah wants to wash his feet. And as he puts his feet into the water, a large fish jumps up and grabs him, swallows his foot, and tries to eat him, dragging him into the water. Tobiah calls out Raphael, Azariah, runs up to help Tobiah, and they manage to pull the fish out. Now, two things are going to happen. Raphael tells Tobiah, I want you to do a couple things. First of all, I want you to cut the fish's heart out, its gall out, and its liver out. And Tobiah says, why would I do that? And he says, because they have medicinal values. He said, you can use these things for some of the problems that we may encounter. So do that. And he said, and then the entrails throw back in the river, and the rest of the fish we can eat. Now, it doesn't say whether or not Raphael joins in the consumption of this food. Now, the commentary makes a big point out of the day and night stuff. Well, we meet Tobit in the daytime, and then in his blindness, he is living in the night. They start their journey in the daytime. Their journey, at least for this first day, ends in the night with danger, which they're able to fix. I'm not sure that I want to make such a big deal about that, but anyway, Tobiah does what Raphael tells him to do. In the final verses of chapter 6, they enter Ecbatana, and Tobiah, or Raphael says to Tobiah, there's a woman there that I want you to meet. Her name is Sarah. And Tobiah says, I've heard about her. She's had 7 husbands, and every one of her husbands has died. Raphael says, well, don't worry about that. He says, I want you to marry her. You're going to meet her, and we will solve the problem. He says, but she is bad news. I'm not crazy. Well, they meet her, and immediately Tobiah falls in love with her. And Raphael goes to her father and asks on behalf of Tobiah for Sarah's hand in marriage. And in fact, this is what is soon going to happen, that there will be a marriage, because she is of the lineage of the Tobit family. So we end with a kind of engagement. Next week we'll pick up with the next part of this book. That will be what happens next. The question is, will Tobiah suffer the same death that the other 7 grooms have suffered? What will happen to the money? Will they be able to ever heal Tobit of his blindness? Is everybody going to live happily ever after? Let me go back to one thing before we go. If you ever have the occasion to read the book of Tobit, read chapter 4, because the advice that Tobit gives to Tobiah is good advice for anyone in any time. It's the kind of advice that we should be living in our lives. One of the reasons I think this book is so important is because of the themes that it lifts up and emphasizes, and the advice in chapter 4 that's given, in addition to the fact that it is just a wonderful story. So tomorrow at noon, we will do a devotional. On Sunday from 12 o'clock noon to 1:30, I'll be out in the parking lot passing out palms. You don't even have to get out of your car. Just drive up, roll down your window, and I will give you palms. They will be from the church service in here, so they will have been in the presence of our prayers and worship. And then the following week, I'll tell you more about that next week, but the following week we will have a Maundy, Thursday, and Good Friday service live streamed at 7 o'clock in the evenings on Thursday and Friday. So I'll see you soon. Stay safe, stay well. Thank you very much for tuning in. Bye now.